Hey everybody, DeLongshot Signatures here. This is my first COMC video of the year, unless I got one in like January or something like that, but I don't think I've ordered anything until now from COMC this year. This was kind of an early birthday present to myself. It took a little bit longer to ship than expected, so now it's a late birthday present, but this is by far the largest that I have purchased in terms of quality. And price. So this was a pretty expensive one, but I felt that I got a bunch of really great deals on stuff. Nearly everything that I got was autographed. I got a couple cards for some TTM fuel. Not very much. I'm going to save a different order for that. But I don't even know how many autographs I have in this. Haven't had the time to go through and count everything and get it all logged. Just trying to get caught up after some busy weeks. But I have a bunch of Hall of Famers, a bunch of people who are no longer with us, and a couple of other autographs that I felt that were nice enough for the collection to add. Particularly added a bunch to the Pro Football Hall of Fame collection. I am now sitting at 126 of the 371 inductees, bringing me to 33.96%. So over a third of the Pro Football Hall of Fame is now in my collection. Some very awesome additions here. But we're going to get started with some other sports, some other ones that I found that I thought were good deals. I think all but like 5 of these were $20 or below. So really felt like I got some good deals on this. First one is a college basketball autograph. This is Jerry Tarkanian. He was a college basketball coach for Long Beach State, UNLV, and Fresno State. Had 784 wins, 4 Final Four appearances, and won the Division I championship in 1990. He was inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame in 2013. He also coached 20 games in the NBA for the Spurs in 1992. There were some issues that he had with the NCAA that I think either resulted in his firing or were because of his firing, and there was a bunch of back and forth with the NCAA, but he was eventually able, I think, to reach a settlement and coach again. So a very fantastic Hall of Famer for the Naismith Basketball Hall collection. Then we have a Hockey Hall of Famer. This guy is someone that I have wanted for a very long time. Did not get him when he was signing TTM when he was still alive. But finally added him to the collection. This is former Maple Leafs goaltender Johnny Bower, on a very thick card, I might add, numbered 43 of 45. He was a former NHL goaltender for the New York Rangers and Toronto Maple Leafs. Finished his career with 250 wins and 37 shutouts. His total saves number is an incomplete statistic because they didn't start recording saves, I think, until 1955, but it was over 15,000 saves. And what's really impressive about Johnny Bower is the amount of time that he played, because he played in an era where goalies were getting 50, 60, 70 games a year. You rarely see goalies even get to 60 anymore. And he holds the second highest all-time save percentage with a .922 over his career, which is only made even more impressive by the fact that he didn't make the NHL until age 30. He played in the American Hockey League for a long time. I think he's in their Hall of Fame as well. But he made it to the NHL at age 30. Then didn't play very much for the next couple of seasons with the Rangers, just a few spots here and there. Eventually made it over to the Toronto Maple Leafs and had a stellar career with them from age 34 until 45. So he did all of this much later in life than a lot of other players, even in the modern era, ever do. But he was a 2-time Vezina Trophy winner for Best Goaltender and 4-time Stanley Cup champion, all with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So very happy to finally add him to the collection. Then we have some Baseball Hall of Fame inductees. First one is an umpire. This is Doug Harvey. He umpired 5 World Series and 7 All-Star games, a total of 4,673 games, which is now third all-time. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2010. Then we got some players as well. First one is Tim Raines. He was a left fielder, had 2,605 hits, 170 home runs, was voted All-Star 7 times, had a Silver Slugger Award batting title, 2 World Series titles, and he was inducted into Cooperstown in 2017. Then we have Billy Williams, an outfielder, had 2,711 hits, 426 home runs, 6 All-Star Game appearances, a batting title, was the 1961 NL Rookie of the Year, and was inducted into Cooperstown in 1987. We got some pitchers here. First one is Don Sutton, very well known with his time with the Dodgers, I believe. 324 wins, 5 saves, 3,574 strikeouts. Was a 4-time All-Star, which seems pretty low for a guy that was that dominant. Had an ERA title, was a Cy Young candidate for 5 straight seasons from 1972 to 1976. So his peak was excellent. It's kind of a shame he didn't win a Cy Young award. But he also had a very long career as well, which helped him build those stats. So he wasn't super dominant his entire career, but when he was one of the best. Was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1998. Then we have Jim Bunning. He is also a pitcher, had 224 wins, 16 saves, 2,855 strikeouts. He was voted an All-Star 9 times, which really helped his Hall of Fame resume. He was also a politician from Kentucky. I believe he served in the House of Representatives and as a senator. And he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1996. Last baseball player is another pitcher. This guy was a great TTM signer. I do think he stopped for a little while and then started charging, and I just never got around to sending to him before he passed. But this is Phil Niekro. He had 318 wins, 29 saves, 3,342 strikeouts. Was a 5-time All-Star, also earned 5 Gold Gloves during his career, had an ERA title, and was inducted into Cooperstown in 1997. We also got 2 Hall of Fame managers. First one is Earl Weaver, former manager for the Orioles, had 2 stints with them. 1,480 wins, 26 postseason wins, very successful then, especially during a time when the postseason was very short and very difficult to get into. 4 pennants with the team, won a World Series with them in 1970, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1996. Last baseball autograph here is Dick Williams. He is a former player and manager. Not really too much to say about his playing career. A solid player, but his Hall of Fame candidacy came from his managerial career, which was very impressive. Had 1,571 wins, 21 postseason wins. Again, very difficult to make the postseason back then. 4 pennants, 2 World Series, winning back-to-back in 1972 and 1973 with the Oakland A's, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2008. Right before we get into the Pro Football Hall of Famers, I have a College Football Hall of Fame coach, and I'll have another College Football Hall of Fame coach after that, but he's also in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, so double Hall of Famer there. But first one is just in the College Football Hall of Fame. This is Ara Parseghian. He was the head coach for Miami of Ohio, Northwestern, and Notre Dame. Had 170 wins. 3 of those were bowl wins, and was a 2-time AP national champion in 1966 and 1973, both with Notre Dame. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1980. This card was the main reason I started looking into other stuff. I saw that. I was like, man, that name sounds really familiar. And I have the Wikipedia page for the Division One football champs saved as a bookmark, and I've seen that name over and over when looking through the list, see if I can ever find any deals for those guys, and I often can't. But this was one that I was able to find, and I started looking through some other sets and was able to stumble across these different sets and got some really nice deals on these autographs. So very, very cool. That's what led to all of this that you guys are about to see. Now we're going to get into the NFL. We're going to start with the one Pro Football Hall of Fame coach that we have. This is Sid Gilman in a certified authentication service, little protective card, sealed and everything like that. I normally don't get stuff like this because I like to display everything together, but when you get a good deal like this, and for something that's this old, because he's been in the Hall of Fame for quite a while, and I think gone for quite a while too, it's totally worth, breaking from my regular norm to get something. But we're going to start with his college career. He was also a head coach of Miami of Ohio and Cincinnati. Didn't coach for very long. I don't know if he would meet modern standards for the College Football Hall of Fame, although I could be wrong. Maybe he did coach. I think he did coach 10 seasons. But he had 81 wins, which isn't super impressive until you realize he had an 804 winning percentage. So this guy very rarely lost. Had one bowl win during his career and was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1989. They did take into account his NFL career as well, which is kind of a cool thing that they do, but still very, very difficult to get in that Hall of Fame. To get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, he was a head coach for the Rams, Chargers, and Oilers, had 122 wins, 6 division championships, and was the 1963 AFL champion. One thing that really shows his legacy is that he has an extensive coaching tree that continues through today, nearly 50 years since he last coached. There are several coaches, I think, including Sean McDermott and Brian Dable, and I think it even goes down to Mike Tomlin and some other guys, Andy Reid even, that have gone on to win Super Bowls and are still coaching today. Some of the best of all time. Obviously, not all those names I mentioned, but some of them up there. And that kind of impact really says a lot about what he did and accomplished in his time in the NFL. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1983. So I don't know exactly what year this card is from, but the fact that it commemorates him being in the Pro Football Hall of Fame suggests to me that it's from the 80s and that it's signed. So pretty rare, but very, very happy to have that. Then we'll get into some NFL players. This one wasn't part of everything else that I was looking into, but the price has gone down for this guy quite a bit because he is a free agent now. And his career has really taken a downturn, might not even play again. But I've always wanted him in the collection. This is free agent quarterback Carson Wentz in a Commanders uniform. He was the second overall pick in 2016. He has played for the Eagles, the Colts, and the Commanders. He has 46 wins, 22,129 passing yards, 151 touchdowns. He was voted into the Pro Bowl one year, and he earned a Super Bowl ring with the Eagles, really helping them dominate throughout the regular season. He unfortunately went down with a torn ACL, and that started the legend of Nick Foles. He led the Eagles to the Super Bowl, and Carson Wentz got the ring with the team as he was injured. It was looking like, he could come back to that form after his injury, and he still played pretty well with the Eagles for a little while, but the team struggled overall, and it really hurt how he was viewed by the rest of the league, and then he started to struggle, was traded to Indy, that didn't work out, was traded to the Commanders, that didn't work out, and now he's a free agent. There's been talks about if a big name quarterback goes down, he could be signed onto a team, but that still hasn't happened yet, even with all the injuries across the league. So he might be done, but it is what it is. Still had a fairly impressive NFL career regardless. Then we have another quarterback here. He was the 4th overall pick in 1952, Babe Parilli, on this Upper Deck Legends card. It's not, the back of it looks kind of like, it's not the greatest in terms of trading cards, but the front is really clean. And these are autographed on card. They were sent to the players and received back from them, so it comes back in different markers, different spots, and everything. But I really liked this design, so I said, I just looked through the list of different cards that they had autographed and got a bunch of cool stuff through them. But Parilli had 49 wins, 22,681 passing yards, 178 touchdowns, 3-time Pro Bowler, 1-time All-Pro, and has a Super Bowl to his resume. Then we get into some of the Hall of Famers. This is former defensive tackle Art Donovan. This adds to my Colts Hall of Fame collection. He had 7 sacks, unofficial. He played well before they started officially recording sacks, and even Pro Football Reference and the team that went through a lot of game film and logs weren't able to document everyone's career to the fullest. So Art Donovan's career, unfortunately, his brilliance has lost the time, but still a very well-known player. He earned 5 Pro Bowl nods, was a 4-time All-Pro, and a 2-time NFL champ. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1968. Then this guy isn't a Hall of Famer, but he has since passed away, and it's not the greatest autograph, but why not? This guy had a stellar career. Chuck Muncie, part of the same set there, was drafted 3rd overall in 1976, had 6,702 rushing yards, 71 rushing touchdowns. Very impressive. 263 catches for 2,323 yards and 3 receiving touchdowns. He was a 3-time Pro Bowler. This one I was really surprised to find for as cheap as it was, and it's a newer card, but I think this one was under $20. This is Hall of Fame safety and NFL general manager John Lynch. He was a safety for the Buccaneers and the Broncos. I want to say he was also a really good baseball player and was drafted into the MLB, if I remember that correctly. He was a 3rd-round pick in 1993. He had 1,059 tackles. That might be an unofficial count. I'm not 100% sure. 26 interceptions, 13 sacks. This guy was all over the field making plays. And with that, he earned 9 Pro Bowl nods, was a 2-time All-Pro, won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2021. Very much deserved, and he is now I think I already said this, but the general manager of the 49ers, who have built a pretty impressive roster. Haven't had a good last couple weeks, but still a very, very impressive team. This guy was a great TTMer. He did charge. I waited too long and didn't send out in time before he passed, so I'm really glad to add him to the collection finally. But this is running back Hugh McElhaney. He was drafted 9th overall in 1952, rushed for 5,281 yards, 38 rushing touchdowns. This guy was also very proficient for his time in the passing game with 264 catches, 3,247 receiving yards, and 20 receiving touchdowns. He was voted into the Pro Bowl 6 times, 2-time All-Pro, and Pro Football Hall of Fame inductee in 1970. Then we have a very nice-looking autograph. I was really happy to get this one, of Tommy McDonald. He was a receiver/end, was a 3rd-rounder in 1957, had 495 catches for 8,410 yards, 84 receiving touchdowns, which I think is still like top 15 all time. 6-time Pro Bowler, won an NFL championship, and was inducted in 1998. Then we have former running back/wide receiver Bobby Mitchell. He rushed for 2,735 yards for 18 touchdowns, was a 7th-round pick in 1958, had 521 catches for 7,954 yards, 65 receiving touchdowns. So this guy very much was a threat all over the place on the field. 4-time Pro Bowler, which seems kind of low, and an All-Pro nod, and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1983. Then we have another addition to the Colts Hall of Fame collection. He's also in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but Pro Football Hall of Famer for the Colts. John Mackey, former NFL tight end, was a second-round pick in 1963, was drafted in both the NFL and AFL. Several of these players were. I didn't make note of it for each of them. But had 331 receptions, 5,236 yards, 38 touchdowns, was a 5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, Super Bowl champion, NFL champion, and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1992. This guy isn't in the Hall of Fame, but it's another addition to the Colts collection. And, this guy was involved with a bunch of stuff in NFL history. It's kind of sad that his career wasn't long enough, or he didn't play as much as he should have to get into the Hall of Fame. It's still a very, very well remembered player. This is quarterback Earl Morrall. Was drafted second overall in the 1956 draft, had 63 wins, had a very good winning percentage, 20,809 yards, 161 touchdowns, was a 2-time Pro Bowler, won 3 Super Bowls, was the 1968 MVP, 1972 Comeback Player of the Year, and was part of the Dolphins 17-0 team. He was a big part of the reason why they stayed 17-0 that year, filling in for Bob Greasy when he was injured. I think he won 2 playoff games with the team, and then Bob Greasy came back and won the Super Bowl. Then we have former NFL Hall of Fame running back Ollie Matson. Was selected 3rd overall in 1952, rushed for 5,173 yards, 40 rushing touchdowns. He had 222 catches, 3,285 receiving yards, and caught 23 touchdown passes. And then was a 6-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro, and went into the Hall of Fame in 1972. Almost done here, but it's a couple more left. Several more left. This is former defensive end, defensive coordinator, and NFL GM Andy Robustelli. He had registered 52.5 sacks, again, an unofficial count, 2 interceptions, and was a 7-time Pro Bowler, 6-time All-Pro, 2-time NFL champ, won the 1962 Burt Bell Award. I want to say he was a defensive coordinator and GM for the Giants later in his career. He was a 19th round pick in 1951, so unlike a lot of these other guys, he was selected very, very late. So that's really cool, and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1971. We got another running back / wide receiver here for the Redskins in the Hall of Fame. This is Charlie Taylor. He was selected 3rd overall in the 1964 draft, had 649 catches, 9,110 yards, and 79 receiving touchdowns. I did mention he was a running back in the league. His stats for that weren't as impressive. I think he had over 1,000 yards rushing and some touchdowns. I didn't feel like that was worth, getting the exact numbers for. 8-time Pro Bowler, 1 All-Pro in his career, and was the 1964 Rookie of the Year. Wasn't designated offensive or defensive at the time, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1984. This next one I have been looking at for years, probably 7 or 8 years now, and finally just said, screw it, I'm going to buy it, and figured it would fit really well with all of this other stuff that I got in. But this is an autographed trading card of probably the first superstar quarterback in the NFL. This is Otto Graham. He was also an NFL head coach and GM. He had 57 wins officially accredited to him, but the NFL did not keep track of wins for starting quarterbacks, and he had several other seasons of being a starter, so that win total is not accurate. Passed for 23,584 yards, 174 touchdowns. Was the 4th overall selection in 1944. 5-time Pro Bowler, 7-time All-Pro, 3-time NFL champ, and 3-time UPI MVP. I think this was well before the Associated Press was involved in voting for it. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame as a player in 1965, and he had 17 wins as a head coach later in his life. Then we got 3 more here, all, well, this first guy played offense and defense, but mostly defensive guys. This is Chuck Bednarik. He was a linebacker and a center, was drafted 1st overall in 1949, had 20 interceptions, was an 8-time Pro Bowler, 6-time All-Pro player, 2-time NFL champion, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1967. As you can see, he signed that down there at the bottom of the card. So very nice inscription there. Then we have a member of the Purple People Eaters. This is Carl Eller. He is still around. He still signs. I don't think he does TTM anymore, but you can go on his website and purchase an autographed photo for $40, I think. I've been meaning to do that, and I'm kind of glad that I didn't because I was able to get this one for cheaper. But solid defensive end back in the day. 6th overall pick in 1964. Finished his career with 133.5 sacks. Had an interception in there. 6-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro, NFL champion. It was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2004. And the last one of this big COMC order is former defensive lineman Randy White. He was the 2nd overall pick in 1975, had 111 sacks in his career, 9-time Pro Bowler, 7-time All-Pro, won a Super Bowl. He was the Super Bowl 12 MVP and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1994. So let me know what you guys think. I was super thrilled when this finally showed up yesterday. I've been waiting, I think, since the start of September to share this with you guys. COMC definitely is taking their sweet time. I know they get a bunch of orders for a bunch of stuff. It just feels like it takes forever to finally get back from them. But this was very much worth the wait. A very nice, expensive birthday present to myself. And very happy to get these at what I thought were some really, really good prices. So very expensive overall, but totally worth it to me. Some really nice autographs that I never thought I'd be able to get in the collection, especially of so many deceased people that I didn't even know they had signed trading cards of. I always think those cards are so much more recent. I think these Upper Deck cards are from like 1997. They were ahead of the time there, getting these cards autographed by guys who were legends even then. So let me know what you guys think. Longer video, I apologize for that, but let me know what you think. Appreciate you guys watching, helps me out a lot. Best luck with your guys' collection. Take care.